and sterilized sand, and there's this little scum that grows on top, and you look at it under a microscope, and boom, here's these little critters. What about DNA changing from one form to another? What about transforming DNA from one form to another so that you have the given genetic material of one species and it transforms into something else? Well, Conchazin is the guy here. And there's a lot of different ways to pronounce his name. Most recently, I've seen it spelled Chang. C-H-I-A-N-G is his first name. So there's many different spellings of this guy's name, which makes it extremely difficult to find his work online, unfortunately. So what he does in this anatomically correct diagram is he's got your duck over here. You can see the feathers and the head. Oh, there he is. And over here you have a perfectly described chicken. Obviously, I'm being facetious. And what you have here is these little funnels that are built into the side of a little pentagonal box, and he zaps this little duck with microwaves, and all the microwaves go through these copper pipes from one room to another. If you talk in here, you'll hear it in here. It's air that can pass through. He's zapping it with microwaves, which are not going to kill the duck. It just kind of zaps his energy field enough to make it resonate, make the DNA resonate. And over here you have a chicken that has eggs in its womb. So now I want you to look at the physiology of a duck. Notice the long beak, the webbed feet, the longer neck, the larger internal cavity of organs, whereas a chicken, by comparison, this is not what they looked like when they came out, by the way, that's just to fool you. I actually found this when I was looking for the picture of the chicken with the webbed feet, and then I found him with ducks, or her with ducks, and I'm like, wow, isn't that a synchronicity? So anyway, look, shorter beak, no webbing between the toes. This is what actually hatched. These are called duck hens. You see webbing between the toes. You see this strange-looking head. We can get a better look at it here. The eye's position is different. You get the duck-shaped head, the longer beak, the webbing between the toes. Now here's the stats. He zapped a total of 500 eggs, 480 of them hatched. 80% had a flat duck-shaped head like you just saw. 90% had the shift in the position of the eyes. 90%. And 25% had webbing appear between the toes. This is a Chinese scientist who did this. It's an amazing piece of research. You go from this, and you blend it with this, and you get duck hens that are half and half. It's an amazing phenomenon. So if you've ever wondered what the heck is the duck-billed platypus, maybe it just so happens that a bunch of ducks and a bunch of moles got together and did that which we cannot speak of in polite company. And God got so angry that he smited them with a lightning bolt, and then they had lots of little babies, and the babies are like, Daddy, Mommy, oh wow, what the hell am I? That could have been what happened, or maybe God just has a weird sense of humor. Garyev is where we get to the final point that's going to help round out the whole talk, DNA transformation. You have frog eggs, okay? The frog eggs are laid, and they're all sitting there, and then you have a salamander's eggs, and you take a laser beam that's not going to burn them, it's not going to kill them, it just picks up the wave information from the salamander. You take those salamander eggs, you shine the wave through it, you redirect the wave into the frog eggs. Guess what happens to the frog's eggs? You get a complete metamorphosis. The genetic material of the frog's eggs becomes cannibalized by the wave of the salamander. Cannibalized is maybe a strong word to use, but it gobbles up all the genetic material that was going to make a frog and totally rewrites the code and transforms it into a salamander's body. And it happens in one generation. You have eggs that come out of a frog's body and they turn into a completely different species. That doesn't take very long. It's instantaneous energetic change. And so what we're seeing is this is the engine of evolution. This is what the solar system is doing to us. The solar system's energy that's causing all the planets to charge up is the same as the energy of the laser that goes through the salamander and shines into the frog, transforms the frog eggs into salamander eggs, and they become healthy adult salamanders that can breed with each other. They don't get all these genetic problems when they get older. They don't have the complications associated with genetic cloning, of the genetic conundrum that you have with Dolly the sheep, where like the feet go bad as she gets older. So again, I want to have you look once more at the fossil record, this 26 million year cycle. Why do you think it's happening in such regular intervals of 26 million years? This is Rope and Sepkoski. Why do you think they found another cycle that's 62 million years long? What do these zones actually represent? Well, here's what we're going to talk about to cap off the whole talk for you. Galactic bioenergy fields may be responsible. We now know, thanks to Dr. William Tift, that even though most scientists associate redshift which is just a microwave frequency. That's all it is microwave light. They associate redshift with distance. Tiftus looked, and his colleagues and people that have followed after him, have looked at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of galaxies. And every single galaxy that they look at has a structure like this. Okay, what you're seeing here is this is high intensity redshift or high intensity microwaves, and then it goes lower and lower as you go out. So these frequency changes are very regular. This is within a regular galaxy now. And what's happening is, you can see another example of it here. These are redshift structures. You see the layers. What's happening, we know from Dr. Rosine Lallement, and here's the link down at the bottom, and you can verify this. She thinks it's only a coincidence, but what she sees is that the local interstellar medium, the clouds that are around our solar system, are moving directly away from the center of the galaxy. They are expanding away from the center of the galaxy. So what we're seeing now is that these guys, these clouds in the galaxy, are going to be expanding away from the center in regular intervals, just like Lallement discovered. This appears to have the energy from the galaxy that reprograms all DNA and all life on Earth. Now I ask you this, if you have these 62 million year cycles in the fossil record, if you have 26 million year cycles in the fossil record, if you have these striated, evenly different frequencies of microwave energy in the galaxy, if Dr. Rosine Lallement has proven that the clouds are flowing at us directly from the center of the galaxy, then don't you think maybe, just maybe, interplanetary climate change is being caused by galactic energy fields, which are squeezing in the heliosphere, making it 25% smaller, shooting in particles to the solar system, causing all of the planets to get charged up, hotter, brighter, more magnetic, and that energy actually has the DNA wave information to transform every living species on this planet into the next level, because guess what? This is a 62 million year cycle, and the last time it fired up was 65 million years ago. This is probably off because of the variations in the influx of solar radiation. We're at the end of the cycle right now. Now there's one thing that we're going to end with, and that's the final proof that's going to make this all come together for you. I can prove to you that human evolution is already doing what we expect it would do based on interplanetary climate change, based on the science I've showed you. I have the scientific proof that you are actually evolving genetically based on this science. Check this out. John Hawkes, University of Wisconsin anthropologist, studied evolution in human beings called positive selection. He found that in the last 5,000 years, your DNA is upgrading 100 times faster than ever in human history. In fact, the last 40,000 years have been a time of supercharged evolutionary change. We are more genetically different from people 5,000 years ago, that's 3000 BC, that's the time of things like the Sumerians, and that's the time of the Indian Hindu scriptures. We normally think of these people, the Old Testament is just a little bit after that. Ancient Egypt, people building pyramids, we don't think of them as much different than we are. But if you compare those people that are building pyramids in Egypt to the Neanderthals, right, with the big clunky brow, nothing like mine. My brow has nothing like that. I'm not a Neanderthal. You compare those people in Egypt with Neanderthals, like me, and they are more similar to Neanderthals than they are to us. You don't think about it because we look around and we say, oh yeah, these are people, everybody's the same, you know? But look, the genetic proof is already here. We've changed more in 5,000 years than ever in human history, and he's calling it supercharged. This is an actual mainstream media proof of that. And here's another one, showing that our evolutionary fast lane is becoming increasingly different at 100 times faster in the last 5,000 years. Now here's the last thing. Our average IQ has had to be increased by 3 points a decade. It's been studied over 20 different countries by Flynn, and it's continued for over a century. And it is happening the most, our IQ is rising the most in abstract non-verbal patterns, which means it doesn't have to do with us reading more magazines, newspapers, and surfing the internet. It's a symbolic intelligence. So this is the hardcore proof, scientifically measurable. The reason why the IQ is going up like that is because a score of 100 is supposed to be average. That's how it's weighed. So in order to keep 100 average, you have to bump it up by 3 points every 100 years because everybody's getting so much smarter. You got to keep knocking down their IQ score. Because everybody now, its average is 100, that means that everybody's so much smarter, now your IQ is going to go down and down and down, which if you have low self-esteem could really hurt you. So just don't hang out much longer, just, you know. No, I'm not saying you should kill yourself, of course, unless you're really, really arrogant about your IQ. Anyway, this is where we're going. It amounts to a cultural renaissance. So the galaxy, and this is the final point. 20 years of study of ESP has proven, scientifically sound studies, he looked at all of these studies, Spottiswoode his name is, to see if people are psychic when it's high noon or a certain